All right.
How's it going?
What up? It's Buff Wild Crew.
Yo. How's everyone doing today?
What's up? What's your name, man?
Thomas Gaffney.
Thomas Gaffney, a.k.a.
Chili Book.
Chili Book. Chili Book. You were the brainchild of Buff Wild Crew. Tell me what sparked you wanting to do this, and then I remember you had a little process in the beginning of going down the Twitter rabbit hole. Tell me when you had the idea that you wanted to do it, and then tell me the very first stages of doing this.
Sure. So I was one of those people who I'm super into crypto, didn't really understand exactly NFTs. I was super huge on crypto and Web3 and blockchain in general, but I never really was like, okay, I get the JPEGs, I understand why NFTs are important, non-fungible, it makes a certificate of authenticity, but I didn't really understand the Bored Ape Yacht Club until I went to the Bitcoin conference in Miami in January, and I was sitting down at a panel, and this guy up there, I can't remember his name, but he's like, yo, people who don't get NFTs, here it is. There's only 10,000 of these in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? It's a mastermind group, right? This is an exclusive entrance into a club that shows, one, proof of funds, right? If it costs $1 million to buy a Bored Ape Yacht Club, you are worth $1 million immediately, right? And so it's very exclusive to get into these things. And so as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my God, I fucking get it now. You know what I mean? It makes so much sense. And so I came home and I was trying to start my Twitter. I wanted to start my own personal branding, and I was just tweeting about stuff, and I love crypto, and I found Radix. And so the reason why I kind of started making this inkling was because I was like, man, I could make because I do a podcast, and I was trying to figure out how to brand my podcast, and I was like, man, I can make this cool NFT project. And so my podcast is called Towards the Storm, and it's based off buffaloes, because buffaloes head towards the storm, right, during a storm, because it actually makes the pain and suffering last less if you run with it. So if a storm's coming this way, buffalo's running this way, naturally the storm's going to last less time, right? Whereas cows run with the storm, it actually prolongs their suffering. And so it's kind of like a mantra of mine is whenever I run through life, I head towards the storm, right? So I wanted it to be a buffalo, and so I was trying to think of a cool name, and so I thought Buck Wild. I was like, let's get Buck Wild, and I was like, Buff Wild, let's get Buff Wild, boys, and have some fun and do some stuff. And so my original process, I just got on Twitter and was like, first of all, I'm not a developer, I'm not an artist. My creativity in terms of putting pen to paper is more of writing than it is of actually drawing in colors and all that kind of stuff. But I tweeted out looking for an artist to make some NFT stuff, and I got 40 different people just shilling me, be like, yeah, check out my stuff, check out my stuff. So I actually I went through a bunch of different folders, portfolios of artists, and I hired 7 people to do a base character for me. Some of them came back really funny, but the artist, Jerry, he ended up winning, right? And so I picked him, and we kind of started getting this together, and I hired him to do it. I was like, okay, now I'm gonna hire you to do the traits. Then I was showing my friends, is this cool? They're like, yeah, that sounds fucking cool. Let's just do this thing. So I ended up talking to my buddy Ryan, who you'll get to talk to in a little bit. He's a developer, and I've known him since 5th grade, and so I thought that was super cool. And he's like, all right, I'll help you dev. So I was like, all right, I got an artist now I got a dev. I can start making this thing work, right? And then I was talking to my buddy Rob, and you'll also meet him, trains me, fitness guru. I highly recommend him if you're ever looking for one. Just a little plug there, no big deal. But yeah, so that was how it all started. Brought him on board, and then I went to NFTLA. One thing we ran into, there was a huge issue with talking with Jerry, the artist, and having, because he's not from this country, and so I was like, we really need some kind of web designer artist guy. And that's when I went to NFTLA back in March, and I ran into this Hammy the Hat Maker, Alex, and we got to talking, and he's like, yo, I need some legal skills, and he's like, yo, I'm like, yo, I need an artist, and we kind of vibe. Both of our girls, his name's is Kristen, and so it was kind of funny, and so he just jumped on board, and he's been indispensable, and so And today we're sitting down and we are finalizing the generative art of these 10,000 buffalo images, and spent about a 4-month process, 4-month ride. It's been really cool.
Yeah. So
that was a long-winded answer.
No, it's great, man. And then so like it started with Twitter, just kind of going down the rabbit hole of like, hey, searching for artists, right?
Yeah.
Then you found something that you're like, you know what, I'm happy with this. We can work with it, right?
Yeah.
And then you've just been every day, nonstop. Like, what are the channels you use to get your information?
Yes.
And then like you're branding, you're marketing like crazy, right?
Yes,
and so like tell us about like now that you've gotten the team together, now you have these NFTs getting created. They're getting created today. Like what's the next step after, or like once you've built the team, right? Like what are your next steps?
So the next step was, first you got to make a collection and put together a team to do that, right? So the next step was for me to build a community, right? So the whole point to have Buff Wild isn't just to have a JPEG, isn't to do anything. Like, one of my favorite things to do is to teach people stuff, just because I love to learn. I consider kind of myself a jack of all trades. I really think everything is fascinating. I usually don't find many things kind of dull unless it's like really dumb. But honestly, the next step is to just kind of grow a community. I mean, I want to sell my mantra, not just these images. I want to help people improve their lives, right? So it's funny, when I was talking with Ryan about this, he said something to me. He said, it's kind of like that thing. It's like the rising tide lifts all ships. And I was just like, yes, you know what I mean? Support everyone around you. Help everyone around you grow. We're all on this earth together. We're all in this thing together, this Web3 thing together. So if I help you and you help me, if I help Radix, right? If I help, then Radix grows. And if you start adopting the platform, if I help your project, everyone's getting better, right? There's room for growth for everyone. And so that's really the next step, is really just start engaging with these people even further, you know, because I'm on Twitter nonstop. And honestly, one thing that the Twitter community, especially the Radix Twitter community, taught me was that people out there, like, I had lost faith in people during COVID. I'm not gonna lie. I fucking hated it. I was so angry at the world. I was like, these people suck. My state was shut down. It was the worst thing in the world. And it was kind of like this outlet for me to be able to talk to people and engage with people. And it was funny when I really was just like, oh my God, and I had a click moment when this Twitter rabbit hole, I was like trading crypto that day, and Ryu, my dog, he just had his head on my lap, and I was just like, took a picture of him. And I was like, man, Ryu's cool, and I posted it. I was like, hey, someone make an NFT of my dog. And 4 different people submitted pictures of Ryu, like cartoon versions of him, and it blew my mind. I was like, wow, people out there care. People, you're not alone, you know what I mean? And it kind of clicked for me, and I was like, wow, these things are way more than just a fucking JPEG, right? It is way more to this. It's a community driven, and you don't get that in the centralized world a lot, of the rat race. It's everyone's out for themselves. And so I really think that crypto and decentralization, there's more of a community, and there's more an uplifting aspect to it. And so that's why I'm here.
Awesome. And so, like, obviously you have the enthusiasm for it. One of your best skills is like you know how to get people together, right? You know how to find the right people for the job,
yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now that you have all this, you're launching in 9 days, I believe it is, maybe 8 days.
Yeah.
So May 16th of 2022 is launch day, right?
Yep.
Upon that, what do you see with Buff Wild? Where do you see yourself in the crypto, Web3, NFT space? Maybe in like a 1 to 2 minute answer, where do you see yourself going over the next 6 months to a year?
6 months to a year. Really, it's about, after this is sold, it's about helping Radix grow, right? I want to be a really big part of this community, so that not only can I grow the Buff Wild community, but help grow everyone in the Radix community. That's why I'm doing Towards the Storm, and that's why I've kind of shifted my focus towards that for the podcast, is to shed light, you know what I mean, on other people's projects. A lot of times in other places, if you're going to run a podcast for your own NFT project, why are you having other NFT project people and promoting them? And it all comes to the the rising tide lifts all ships. You know what I mean? I believe in Radix as a platform, and I believe in the community, and so I want to keep helping that thing grow and being as awesome as it can, because they've given me a lot, and so I want to give a lot back.
Awesome. And then Babylon, just maybe touch on that just really quick, what Babylon is and then what it's going to do for Radix.
So Babylon, like I said, I'm not a tech guy, but I understand a little bit. So Babylon is the implementation of smart contracts, and they're going to have an upgrade to the transaction speed of the network. And so you can't really have like NFTs really without smart contracts, at least from other platforms. It's not exactly we're not exactly sure how it's going to work, but Babylon to me is the complete stepping stone and the complete foundation for the first phase of Radix before Xi'an comes out. And Xi'an is where the sharding comes through. But I think that once Babylon is live and once we can actually go out and network to the world, the Radix community to the world, I mean, the sky's the limit, you know what I mean?
Okay, and now I got one last one to piggyback off that.
Okay.
Why Radix and not Ethereum and all the other cryptos that are very mainstream? Why Radix? You know, what's sharding? And then, you know, why is Radix have potential to be one of the leading figures in DeFi?
Okay, well, I'll start with why not Ethereum. Ethereum's broken. Okay, I've been in crypto for a long time, and I try to use this stuff, and I'm obsessed with it, and I'm pretty tech savvy when it comes to it. And Ethereum is broken. It does not work. There's no scalability to it whatsoever. I'm trying to buy an NFT that costs $50, and sometimes you end up spending $70 depending on the gas fees. It's like, it's ridiculous. And so I also got on Uniswap, and I was trying to buy EXRD originally, right? Which is the ERC20 token for the Radix chain. And first of all, my funds got frozen because my gas fees weren't high enough when it was submitted, because it got submitted when gas fees had what's called a flash drop. It dropped to 19 Gwei, right? And so it was at a time when it was like 100 and something. And so my funds, my like 10,000 XRD worth of ETH was just stuck there, right? It was just stuck in the blockchain. I couldn't figure it out. It took me like 6 hours to figure out how to release it. And I was like, man, you can't use this, right? It doesn't work. And so we need to find another solution. If I'm frustrated, there's no way we're going to have adoption. And so the only way Web3 is really going to work is if you have mass adoption. If people don't use it, sorry, it's not worth anything. I mean, you can have the best product in the world, and if no one uses it, who the fuck cares? Because it doesn't matter. It's not going to grow. It's not going to scale. No one's going to use the thing, and it's eventually just going to die, because unfortunately this world runs on money and financial systems, and if you don't have users, you're not making money. If you don't have money, you don't have a project. And so that's why I shifted to Radix, because Radix, the scalability, at least what they say it's going to be, is potentially limitless, right? They're trying to make something significantly more secure. And one of the other things is like sharding and atomic composability with the Cerebus, right? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct, but it's supposed to be significantly better for the environment. It takes a lot less energy than, say, proof of work that Ethereum still runs on, right? And the Bitcoin runs on. And so that's one of the reasons why some people don't adopt this, because they're anti-pollution, anti-energy, they're very much aware of global warming and all the process of what's happening on the earth. And so the potential of Radix, in my opinion, is huge. And so I think that if they deliver what they say they are going to deliver, there's going to be room for multiple blockchains, and I think Radix is going to be cemented into one of them, and it's going to be a big player moving forward.
Oh yeah, man. Any last words of wisdom for maybe a young NFT artist that wants to come up?
Sure. Do your homework first, but at the same time, fuck it, go for it. Just go for it. What the fuck not? You know what I mean? If you're young and trying to do this, you have your whole life. I've fucked up in my life thousands of times, and I've lost money on a lot of stupid investments. But it's just, if you believe in something, like, I enjoy this. Like, I actually, every single day, I wake up and I'm like, hey, even if I don't make a fucking penny and I made this freaking thing, that is cool as shit. Because guess what? You're in the game, right? You're actually making something. You're being part of the ecosystem, right? Like I said, you cannot have Web3 without adoption, right? So do it. Go out there. Make your NFT. Come compete with me. You know what I mean? I want I want the competition, you know, because it's cool, because that's how capitalism runs and that's how the world runs. And so I would say go out there and friggin' do it and buff on, baby.
Amen, baby.